best thing to do, wait till the dust settles, and then tear down people who give opinions. All right, I need you to picture this. It's 2020, a little bit before the draft, a little bit after the draft. Joe Burrow's going number 1. Everybody knows it. Everybody's pumped about it, right? That would be wrong. As always, we're going to look at some terrible takes, and they're just going to kind of get worse as we go regarding Joe Burrow. I'm kicking this one off. As a lifelong Bengals fan, I will not renew my season tickets if you don't take Herbert over Burrow. Think this guy enjoyed the Super Bowl run, or no? Did he just swear off the Bengals?
I'm assuming he followed suit and was very upset when he turned out to be pretty solid at football. I think we can already say that, right? Like he's pretty good, Joe Burrow.
He's okay. I think it. Yeah,
he's
I think we can be solid in that. I will say if it turns out that Mr. 10-cent beers, great Twitter name, we love good Twitter names. If it turned out that he did swear off the Bengals and switched allegiances, I will give him props. But I took this screenshot, and I'm pretty sure they update profile pictures. I took the screenshot a few days ago. His profile picture does have a Bengals beanie, so I'm guessing that's not what happened.
Yeah, maybe he hasn't been on Twitter, in a couple of years.
He just swore off the Bengals and Twitter.
Yeah. He's done. All right. Well, that's not a great take. I have a feeling the Super Bowl run probably was he was a fan, but again, we haven't tracked this guy down, so no way of knowing.
That's a lot of work, and we're
a little underfunded for that. But Caleb here also, maybe not the best take here. If the Bengals are smart, so if they're intelligent here, they'll take Chase Young from the Ohio State University and take Trevor Lawrence first next year after they still suck. Burrow is overrated anyway. So this guy's saying, okay, draft Chase Young, you'll still be the worst team in the NFL, and then go ahead and get Trevor Lawrence. So now you have a top edge rusher and a top quarterback. No hate to Chase Young, and not even really hate to Trevor Lawrence, still young, but I'm pretty sure if you were doing this again, you would not go after that guy's plan.
No. Could have been an awesome take had Trevor Lawrence turned out to be what we kind of thought he was going to be. Maybe a future episode idea with Trevor Lawrence. But yeah, I think the Bengals are probably pretty happy with the decisions they made.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence still could be a stud, but yeah, that was no doubt the right call with Joe Burrow.
The next one from Will is a pretty generic draft tweet, I will admit, but I had to do it because it's Joe Burrow will be a bust in the NFL. Save this tweet. Well, guess what, Will? We saved the tweet.
The tweet has been saved.
So that's all. That's really the only commentary on this one. Not the most aggressive tweet, but if you're going to say save this tweet, I'm going to call you out on it.
Well, speaking of bust, Jake, y'all aren't going to like what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. Joe Burrow will be the biggest bust in NFL history. Above Ryan Leaf and Jamarcus Russell. He's worse than all those. This is right here the biggest bust in NFL history. I'm going to go ahead and say the very first game he played, he had already been not the biggest bust, number 1 pick in NFL history.
And I can say with confidence right now, he could never throw a football again, and he still wouldn't be the biggest bust in NFL history.
Absolutely,
he could just decide, nah, I'm done. I'm done. And I think nobody would be like, oh man, biggest bust and number 1 pick ever. I'm pretty sure that's we're pretty safe in saying that. Next one, again, fairly tame for Joe Burrow, but then he had to tack some stuff on that made him he made the show. Joe Burrow is overrated. All right, pretty boilerplate, if I could speak. Baker equals GOAT. And a nice gif of Baker Mayfield, which you're not gonna be able to see on the screen because I don't think we have that technology. But just picture that picture is moving. I don't believe that Baker Mayfield is the GOAT. And I think if you asked 100 people, maybe 98 of them would say that Joe Burrow is better than Baker, and the other 2 live in Cleveland, Ohio.
Well, or maybe Carolina now, but
no. Carolina's not excited about
that. They haven't got really excited about Baker Mayfield. Hey, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I do still think that Baker Mayfield could be okay.
Say it.
Could be okay. He was injured, but he's no Joe Burrow, and the fact that nobody wanted Baker Mayfield, I think I'm gonna assume that GMs probably are smarter than me, but I don't want to get too hype on
Uh,
GMs.
yeah,
I
not
probably
on this show.
shouldn't, right?
We do not assume that on this show. We do not assume that GMs are smarter than us.
All right, next, Deegan here. Quick predictions on long-term success of 2020 NFL Draft. This one is one of my favorites because somehow managed to just completely mess up the entire tweet. Burrow, underwhelming, possible bust. Okay, not
False.
overly disrespectful, but the rest, if he would have just said that, it probably doesn't make the video. Tua, stud, future Hall of Famer. Not gonna happen. I'm gonna say that, but then
Seems
I could be
seems.
on a video later on saying that he's not gonna happen, but it doesn't seem likely.
Oh, if in 5 years some of our takes are terrible, you think we won't call each other out? That'd be the best episodes we have.
Akuda, worst case very good, best case historically great. We'll see. Still young, but not. Herbert LMAO bust.
Pat, yeah.
Young, good to very good, but not as great as most believe. Yeah, so somehow messed up the Burrow and the Herbert. Everything else, well, Tua as well thrown in there. We'll get some more Tua here soon.
He
completely
maybe
just
he's not a QB
went.
guy. He doesn't understand quarterbacks. That's all I'm gonna give this guy the benefit. No, I'm not. This is a terrible take.
Absolutely terrible.
He's not only on the show, he's like halfway through the thing. We got rid of all the easy ones. He made it to like prime time. He made it to the center. So yeah, pretty tough to get kind of every take.
And if it was just like worst takes overall that we could find from the 2020 NFL draft, he probably would be right up at the top. So it's just because it's not specifically all about Joe Burrow. You get kind of in the middle.
Yeah. All right. Next one. Really wish my Bengals would pick Chase Young. Joe Burrow going to be a bust. Standard. One good season on an absolutely stacked team. And here's why we picked it. Because you know how we love it. But Mike Brown going to do what Mike Brown do. Here's another 10 years of disappointment. We love GM hate. I'm not even mad at this guy's tweet because we love GM hate that much. That being said, seemed like they did make the correct decision here. So, like we said, a lot of like, hey, I'd rather have Chase Young over Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's going to be a bust. Chase Young, a very good player. But I don't think the Bengals would trade Joe Burrow for anybody in that draft at all.
Absolutely not. And yeah, Mike Brown's still employed by the Cincinnati Bengals, still running the team. So
it seems, unlike most teams, kind of tough for him to get fired.
Yeah, he seems like he's pretty safely. His job security seems pretty good.
He might have the highest job security in the world.
All right, so that was Chris. Now we got a CBS Sports. Now this isn't a CBS because this is GMs actually. So CBS is just reporting the news. I talked to a lot of GMs this week, so this is already great. Before the LSU Alabama game, they told me they preferred Tua to Joe Burrow. Jason here discusses Tua's NFL potential. So a lot of GMs. I mean, we don't know what that means. This could technically be like 3, but they still preferred Tua to Joe Burrow. And I'm just going to say, I don't know why I said it. It was probably 31 GMs because they're all morons, right? At one GM, the Bengals obviously knew Joe Burrow, and that might have just been dumb luck because
I like how bold you went. I like how bold you went that all 31 other GMs like 2 or more. I like it. I don't believe it, but I like it. I bet it was a lot. I'm guessing I'm going with a dozen. I bet there were at least a dozen GMs. So you know what? Once again, we love GM hate. These GMs clearly wrong, and that's going to make the show every time.
I just didn't know if Jason, like, how many GMs does he have on? I mean, does he have all the GMs able to talk to him? Is he getting them all in like a room and asking them like, hey, I guess probably not because they don't want to give away their draft strategy. I just don't know. I don't know what how Jason's
that's true. We were not on those calls, so we cannot say with any certainty. All right, next one. Awesome player. Not a great take. This is obviously not his Twitter. We found somebody talked to him and did this. But Deion Sanders, I would take Tua over Burrow because he gives me more film to judge for potential success, which on its own, not a bad take. That is okay. That is an opinion. It's wrong, but that is an opinion. But thankfully, UK Draft Scout, thank you very much. You did the legwork on this because we didn't. Career games, Joe Burrow 38, Tua 32. Pass attempts, Joe Burrow 945, which means Tua must have had like 1200, right? No, 684. Not the best reason to pick Tua over Burrow. If there was a good reason, that was not it.
Yeah, I guess it was just that final season. Everybody's like, "Oh yeah, nobody knew who Joe Burrow was until that final season when he had all his weapons and it was one of the greatest seasons of all time." So he didn't exist before there. He wasn't, a top uh, recruit going to Ohio State and all. Like, he had plenty of stuff out
Yeah.
there with Joe Burrow, and then obviously Tua was. They're both great college quarterbacks, but just I think sometimes players just say stuff. I'm assuming this was probably on TV to fill the space, and they're just talking,
Oh yeah.
and they don't realize that they absolutely have no idea what they're talking about. And if you have no idea what you're talking about, this is the best spot you could find those takes, because we will find them on people
Yeah.
that don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, and we also don't know what we're talking about.
But we're looking back 2 years later because we know we would have been wrong too.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not giving you fresh hot takes that could be wrong. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait.
Yeah. All right, now moving on. We got a big name here. We got a couple big names up here. Colin Cowherd. I might read the whole thing. Okay, so Colin Cowherd said the ridiculous hype for Joe Burrow continues. He's a good prospect. I see in him. I guess Kurt Warner said this last week. I see in him. So now it's been Joe Montana, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Kurt Warner, and I'm not joking, LeBron James, who Joe Burrow has been compared to. Folks, he's got an average arm and struggled badly as a junior at LSU. Still surrounded by all that talent. He's a good prospect going into a brutal situation in a defensively loaded division, and he's going to struggle mightily. So Colin Cowherd, known for his absolutely stellar takes, that's why
Oh yeah,
he's one of the biggest sports talk show hosts, because of he's always
Refer to-
has great takes.
Yeah, refer to what we just said about filling time. He might be the king of filling time.
Which
I
is
would
a
say-
very good talent. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
impressed.
I give him
if you could do
give him-
that. Doesn't mean they have great takes, but
give him props, but doesn't mean he's not. He's still going to make the show. I'm guessing quite a bit.
I have a question. Has Joe Burrow struggled mightily though?
I don't believe. I mean, he does getting injured counts as struggling mightily, because other than that, I would say no. Yeah, but I think after that injury, he definitively did not struggle mightily.
And he had a pretty good last season, sophomore season.
I also love the take of, like, I know you're comparing him to other NFL quarterbacks, but like the average arm thing. Like, have you watched him play football? It's just not like, it's not an average arm. Like, there are a lot of, even compared to NFL quarterbacks, like that seems like the go-to for some of these guys. Like, oh, his arm is average, because they have no idea. And once again, neither do we, but we don't claim to.
If you're not like Josh Allen throwing it, 80 yards, or Joe Flacco throwing it on his knees for like 60 yards or however far, you got.
If you can't go post to goal post, average. All right. And our penultimate, and I'm going to use that word every episode because I love it. Another big name, one of the biggest names in drafting. If promised, Todd McShay. Sorry, in case you're like listening and not watching the video, which that's wrong. Don't do that. If promised, 10 years of health for both. I'm taking Tua over Burrow. Seems like a poor decision.
Yeah, and what's funny about this take is like Joe Burrow actually hasn't been healthy. Like he had he got injured, and you still would take Joe Burrow like 20 times over than Tua. So even if you don't promise health for 10 years, even if you said you only get a handful of healthy good years for Joe Burrow, I'm still taking that over the career of Tua.
Yeah, I will take the next 10 years Burrow playing every other year over Tua being perfectly healthy.
If Joe Burrow, I mean, I don't want to say this, if one of his arms, well, let's say his non-throwing arm was amputated, I would still take Joe Burrow.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to get the ball out of the shotgun, but I bet he can figure it out.
They would probably work with it too. I think the NFL would, they would help him get it. So I think it would work. All right, absolute best take, worst take actually, but best, the cream of the crop for our worst take. Steven says Joe Burrow will be a bust or not great in the NFL. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Every single quarterback that has come to the NFL with the the world revolves around me attitude hasn't been good. And the reason why I love this tweet is because somehow he mentions only quarter. These are like the only quarterbacks that the world revolves around him: Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield, Paxton Lynch, Christian Hackenberg. Why is Christian Hackenberg in here? Mitch Trubisky, Josh Rosen, and Mason. And why is Mason Rudolph? So I mean,
There's two of those that you can say definitively came in with the world revolves around me attitude. He started strong. Johnny Manziel and Baker Mayfield. Absolutely, you are 100% correct, sir. Where the hell did you go after that?
And how many quarterbacks? Quarterback is like you're the prime.
Yeah.
Like how many like you would say like the world revolves around him? Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, still doing it, still slinging it out there. A lot of people say he's a little bit of that attitude. It's still very good. I mean, still very, very good. A lot of quarterbacks are like that, but he just managed to pick out these handful of quarterbacks that were absolutely terrible and said, this is why. This is the connection here. If you have the world revolve around you, you can't throw a football well. There's just no way to do it. They're like you're too busy thinking about how great you are when you're stopping back and you're like, oh, how great I am, and then you forget to throw the ball. Or so I don't know what's happening. I don't know. There's something obviously.
And I also, like, granted, I don't remember everything that's ever happened, but do you remember even the slightly Christian Hackenberg or Mason Rudolph having any of that? Like that being anything?
Because they weren't like first round picks. Like, yeah, who really like talked about it? So, yeah, what a crazy weird take, the weirdest and very terrible take. And I would say Joe Burrow has defied all the odds of these tweets and has now been top 5 quarterback. I'm going to say best quarterback in the NFL. I just want to say that so then I can put it in a video later.
Oh yeah, we're gonna put that in a video in 2 years. Yeah. Obviously, Joe Burrow proved all these people wrong. Nobody believed in him. I'm going with that. It's not that we cherry picked specific tweets. Nobody believed in him.
No.
And listen, if you thought that we weren't gonna make nobody believed in them videos about number 1 overall picks, oh, how wrong you were. We'll make them about anything we can find.
This true underdog story, Joe Burrow.